Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. Today we're going to do a quick review on this Vulcan ArcSafe Auto Darkening helmet. Right now they're on sale for $149 and you could get yourself a 10% coupon in this month's book. So it's $149 minus 10%. What's that, take it down to $135? So I decided to get it. And let me just go through quickly through welding helmets and why you kind of want this. This is what I learned how to arc weld with, and I'm talking Lincoln Tombstone AC arc welder. And that's what I used, and that's kind of a high school thing. I bought this thing, and I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and the reason why is the amount of area was so much bigger. With this, by the time you got it on your head and dropped it down, and even when you struck the arc, you know, this was a very narrow viewing area. That was a big improvement. Once again, this is not an active welding helmet, it's just your standard but a lot bigger viewing area. What's missing here is the $40 Harbor Freight welding helmet, and what it uses is the energy from your arc welding to auto darken your viewing. This takes it up the next notch, and this has a battery in it. So let's try not to drop it and break it right off. Like as you're looking out now, right, you're just looking outside, but if I go up and I hit it with the sunlight, right, you could see how it auto darkens, then back to normal. This is quicker. This is a lot quicker. Plus it has a huge viewing area, assuming that I don't keep putting the tape on the lens, right? The viewing area is bigger, and it responds much quicker. Quite honestly, it's a lot more comfortable to wear than the other welding helmets. It's got two. It's also got a grinding mode, so that you can use it as a face shield for when you're grinding. I probably will not do that. I mean, the last thing I need to do is fill this with grinder debris. It's bad enough if I fill it full of welding debris. So what could I say about it that makes it better than the other one? The surface area is bigger, see more. It's quicker, which makes it a little easier on the eyes. Less arc sneaks in and bothers you. It's more comfortable. It's lighter than the other Harbor Freight one. But I must say, to go from these to the $40 Harbor Freight one is like a huge improvement. You know, when I was welding in high school, I did quite a bit of it. Quite honestly, I got to be okay, probably just above dangerous, with a Lincoln Buzzbox AC welder. When I upgraded, you know, to the Harbor Freight 90 amp, you know, $99, $79 if you get it on a super sale welder, I thought, wow, I'm like the biggest genius of welders in the world. My welding improved dramatically, going from stick to that. The next upgrade was going to the $40 helmet, which allowed me to be able to see before I struck an arc, rather than if you put one of these down, you can't see anything. And that was yet another huge step forward. The last big step forward is when I bought this Lincoln welder here. This is a flux core. It also does metal inert gas, MIG welding, but right now I'm using it as a flux core. The Harbor Freight welder uses AC with their flux core, so it has a tendency to sputter and spit a lot more than the DC one. The DC Lincoln puts the weld into the weld and the metal stays there. So as you're welding, it's just like, it's not all these sparks flying around like with the Harbor Freight guy. So that was a huge, huge improvement. And I'm hoping that this final upgrade here allows me to do some of the better welding I want to do. Welding on really thin metals, right, and so forth. By the way, just an aside, if you are using the Harbor Freight welder, it works better if you put a quality wire into it. The cheap Harbor Freight flux core wire is not as good as the Hobart wire. So once again, each one of these things kind of moves your welding that next step up. If you have a really good welder, a really good helmet, really good wire if you're doing flux core, right? I imagine if you go the next step, metal inert gas, I imagine with that it's even a little easier to put down a really pretty weld. So I don't think my welding necessarily improved. I think the equipment improved that allowed me to do a better job when I was welding. I must admit, I do have a Lincoln BuzzBox AC welder. Actually, there's a pair of them down in the lower garage near the 220 outlet. The AC one is kind of my go-to when I have to weld thick metal, right? It seems to do a better job at thick metal, or if it's thick metal, particularly if I'm trying to blast through rust and junk, that welder seems to do a little better job for me. I do have a Lincoln AC DC welder down there, you know, like the Rock Group. Unfortunately, it's got some kind of problem, and I think what it does is it only gives me a half a phase, then dead, and a half a phase, dead, half a phase. I don't think it's rectifying the second half the phase in, because all my welds are cold, and you know, they don't penetrate very well. I end up with these fat caterpillars instead of welds like I'm after doing. But once again, the Lincoln AC BuzzBox that's functional down in my lower garage, that does a real good job for me, especially on really nasty, really rusty metal. It's got the power to break its way through. For getting the best looking welds, a good helmet, and that Lincoln over there with flux core wire in it, that does a real nice job for me. I'm going to start talking about these things after I use them for a while. I mean, I just tried this just quickly, and I was very happy with it. I noticed it was better than the other guy, than the $40 model. But like with the jump box, it was very nice when I first bought it, but 3 months later it was dead. I'll be coming back to this also after I own it for a while. Let's see how long it lasts. Let's see if I can actually use it a couple of dozen times and have it not break. So I will be coming back to this, and I'll tell you if I still love it in the future. But right now, it's more comfortable. It reacts quicker, better visibility. You know, it's got everything going for it. Would I upgrade from this directly to this? The answer is no. I would buy the $40 one first, use that for a while. The $40 one is still alive, it's just missing in action. I would buy the $40 Harbor Freight one. It appears as if they're all the same if you compare the specs, whether you have the skeletal head or not. It appears as if they put the same feature into it, the same lens, darkening lens. So I don't think I'd spend that much money to look like a skeleton. I'd just buy the $40 one, use the heck out of it. And then when you're to the point where you say, you know, I'd like to upgrade my welding once again, try the next thing, try to get a little better, then go for this guy. $150 or $135 plus tax is a lot of money to spend. I was willing to make the jump, take the upgrade, do the little better. But if you weld, once a week or twice a month or 6 times a year, however you want to look at it, for just tacking 2 pieces of metal together, especially if, they're thin, that's a good solution. $99 for this, $40 or $39 for the helmet. For $150, you're up and welding. You're off the ground. If you're trying to upgrade yourself, $150 for that. I don't know. I think that Lincoln over there, I think they're around $350, $400 nowadays. You see what I mean? You're very quickly getting into more money. Are your welds better? Yes. Are they stronger? Yes. Are they functional? Well, an ugly weld, depending on how much stress you're going to put on it, might be just as functional as the prettiest welds in the world, right? So, depends. It depends. If you're trying to work your way into better and better and more professional, you buy the better equipment. If you're just a hobbyist trying to tack 2 pieces of metal together to get back on the road, and you're not going to put too much weight onto it, you're not going to pound on it too bad, and your metal is thin, and you realize the limitations of what you're up to, once again, $89 and $39 get you moving. So I'm sure you guys will share your opinions with me. Let me know what you think. I want you all to keep your feet down, your heads up, and I want you to get out there and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.